Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Lucky Life podcast, where we create our own luck and design the life of our dreams. I'm your host, Melissa Merck. Let's dive right into the episode. I'm leaving for Las Vegas in a couple hours, and I'm not packed. I'm not ready, but I just realized that I'm getting home on Monday, and I feel like I always get home later than I expect. I don't currently have an episode ready to go up on Monday, so we're filming this now. It's going to be a really quick episode, but I really want to stay consistent with my podcast schedule, which is every Monday. I think it's really important to keep the promises to yourself and follow through with things that you're going to do. That's the best way to build self-confidence. How can you believe in yourself when you don't keep the promises to yourself, you know? And that is honestly one of the biggest pet peeves for me, is when people say they're going to do something over and over and over again and they never do it. It's so frustrating. I hate it when other people do that, so I don't want to do that. And so that is why we're recording this last minute. So anyways, wanted to quickly talk about boundaries, and this is just a little reminder to anyone who's forgotten how important it is to have set boundaries and to stick with them. This is something I've definitely improved on over the years, and I'm still trying to improve. I also think this is probably harder for people who would consider themselves people pleasers. I think sometimes having boundaries can be seen as being rude or inconsiderate, but in reality, it is self-respect. You're respecting your own time, your peace, and I only think it would be taken as rude if the other person doesn't really respect you and your time or what's important to you. Hopefully this is making sense. I can understand it in my mind, but I feel like I'm not explaining it super well. But time is the most precious thing on this planet. You can't get it back. You only have a certain amount. You don't even know how much you have. And so why would you want to waste your time hanging out with people you don't want to see, doing things you don't want to do, allowing people to walk all over you, use your resources? And I think a lot of times people don't even realize that someone is crossing a boundary if you don't know what your boundaries are. So it's really important to know your own boundaries and then enforce them. And also, you need to be able to vocalize your boundaries, because how can you expect someone to respect your boundaries if you haven't told them what your boundaries are? And I think that's the biggest thing for me. Communication hasn't always been the easiest thing for me. I find I always have so much going on in my head, and it makes sense in my head, but then when I try to explain things to people, that is where I struggle. And that's definitely something that I'm working on. It's just communicating effectively. I have had a couple situations happen in the last few years where people have pushed my boundaries and just not respected them even after I have vocalized them. And I think at that point you need to be willing to let people go. If they're not respecting your boundaries, they're not respecting you. Dependent on the situation, sometimes it's just best to let those people go. If you really value the relationship, it may be worth it to just sit down and explain how you've been feeling. At the end of the day, you can't change people. The only thing you can control is your reaction to how people treat you. I've also been in some situations where people have crossed boundaries of mine, but I have not communicated them effectively. That is one of the worst places to be in, because you will harbor resentment towards these people, but it's not necessarily their fault because you haven't explained to them how you're feeling. It's hard to come back from that. This has been a big lesson for me in the past couple years. And for me, just thinking about a specific situation, it's I almost didn't want to be firm in my boundary because I knew that if I was, the relationship wouldn't work out. And that's why I avoided talking about it. But then you just end up resenting the person and things don't work out anyways. So yeah, it's super important to let people know how you feel, let them know where your boundaries are, and stick with it. Because if someone's not going to respect your boundaries, they're probably not meant for you, or something needs to change. That is just a quick little reminder for today. If you could see my room right now, clothes are all over the place. I'm trying to figure out my outfits. I'm attempting to do a carry-on. I don't know if that's going to work because I have jackets and boots, so I might have to resort to a checked luggage. But anyways, this podcast will be going up the day I get back. So if you guys want to see what I was up to, definitely check out my Instagram. I'm also filming a vlog on my YouTube channel. And if you guys don't follow me on my other social media platforms, it's just my full name, Melissa Merck. And you can find me on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. And yeah, thank you so much for tuning in to another episode. I will see you guys next week, next Monday. Until then, have a great week. Bye.